Today is travel day, and we thought it'd be a great day to do a travel day video.
Actually, no, if you watch any of our travel day videos, they're not about travel days.
Nope.
We try to do them on particular questions we might get from subscribers or any, fellow RVers. Today, we're going to do one on lessons learned, things that we've learned being on the road for 2.5 years now.
Yep.
Things that caught us off guard, may have potentially ruined a trip.
Yeah.
Or just things that people should just be aware of, really.
Right. Little surprises that come up that you don't think about.
Yeah, and hopefully it helps you out if you watch the video, and some of these might actually help you out.
Yeah, learn from our mistakes.
And this is going to be raw and unfiltered. We're driving. I don't know what's going to happen, but what you see is what you get. So number one, lessons learned.
Number one, lessons learned is national parks.
So this one almost got us pretty bad a while back. When we talk about national parks, if you watch us at all, you know we love the national parks. But a lot of these national parks you have to have a reservation to get in, or maybe to go on a particular road, to go on a particular mountain, things like that. And you need to be aware of this. Usually what happens is, let's say Glacier National Park. They might allow or have X number of reservations available to go over going to the Sun Road.
Right.
Usually what happens is they will release some of those, maybe let's say 6 months ahead of time, but each national park is different. So they might release some of those reservations 6 months ahead of time. Those are the time, that's when you really need to get it. Also, what they'll do is release the remaining ones normally like the day before. So these are like last minute reservations that they keep open for the public. These are usually very, very tough to get. We've caught ourselves in a couple situations where we forgot about getting the reservations and we're trying to get them the day before. We've literally seen in Rocky Mountain National Park, they released the tickets at 8 a.m. At 8:03, they were gone. They were literally gone, and I'm not exaggerating. They went that quick. So the lessons learned for us on national parks, if you are planning a trip to a national park, make sure you understand the reservation system, if they have one. Not all of them do. But Bar Harbor, Acadia National Park, if you want to go up to Cadillac Mountain, that's a timed entry. Rocky Mountain National Park has timed entries.
Yeah.
Glacier National Park, going to the Sun Road, you have to have reservations for that. So just be aware and plan ahead and try to get your reservation as soon as they become available.
Definitely. You don't want to miss out.
Yeah, it could definitely ruin a whole trip.
Oh, yeah.
Number two.
Okay, number two is be flexible.
Be flexible. And
we have learned this.
Yeah.
It's very...
The reason we put this one on the list, because this just happened to us these last 2 weeks.
Yeah, and it's happened before, but these last 2 weeks, it
was an eye-opener. For us. Yeah. We could have missed out if we weren't.
Oh, boy, could we have missed out.
We were in Rocky Mountain National Park. We were there for a couple weeks. Our plan was to go from there to Black Canyon National Park. And then from Black Canyon down to Mesa Verde National Park. So that was our trip. When we were in Rocky Mountain National Park, we just got talking to fellow RVers. 3 separate people told us, you have to go to Silverton or Ouray. They're it's part of the $1 Million Highway.
Yeah.
These are tiny little old mining towns in Colorado. But 3 separate people told us you have to go.
Yeah.
So we were flexible. We cut one of our stays short, and we ended up staying a week in Silverton. And we are so glad we did. It was a blast. We had the perfect time of year, middle of September, so all the aspirin were yellow. We rented a Jeep.
Yeah.
We did
Alpine Loop.
They call it a road, but it ain't a road.
It's not a road.
There'll be another video coming up in the future. But But literally, we had so much fun. And it was just because we were flexible enough. We weren't locked into national park to national park. There's a lot of stuff in between, and we just
Yeah.
really enjoyed it.
We really
we'll go back
did.
again. It was that
Oh,
much fun.
yeah. We didn't get to do the train ride, but next time around, we'll hopefully be able to do the train ride.
Well, that's number 3.
Okay, doctor appointments. Boy,
You want to take this?
doctor appointments can be a little tricky, we have found. A lot of, and different states too.
Yeah.
A lot of people will call for like a follow-up dentist appointment or a dermatology appointment, and they're booked out for 6 months.
Yeah.
Danny had a procedure with the dermatologist in Florida, and it didn't quite look like it was healing right. I didn't like the looks of it. We were trying to get him into I almost said a vet.
Not a vet.
Not a vet.
Dermatologist.
For like from between June and July?
Yeah, we were in Bar Harbor.
Yeah.
Trying to get to a dermatologist. Dina called and they said they were 6 months.
6 months.
Out.
And then another place was 4 months. And then finally somebody was able to take you.
So our lessons learned on and this goes for vets too.
Yeah.
Plan ahead.
Yeah.
You really have to plan ahead. It's not like you're at your normal doctors and maybe you can call up and they can squeeze you in or something like that.
So what we found out is a lot of doctors who are already established with their patients, they're going to put their patients first.
Which I don't blame them.
No, you don't blame them. It's their practice, and that's what, they have established patients, and they know you're just traveling through. They don't, even if they're accepting new patients, they don't make time for you in the near future if they're booked. So just keep in mind, veterinarians, same way.
Plan ahead.
One tip I will tell you with the vets, I find that if you go to a lot of shelters who are able to provide medical assistance, some of them do have like everything a vet's office would have, and they are able to take you a lot sooner than a normal vet. If it's just a standard, vaccine or skin issue or something like that, something quick, you can get in a lot quicker usually. And also it's usually cheaper.
Yeah, I say it's usually a little bit cheaper.
A lot cheaper. And it's even cheaper for vaccinations, your annual vaccination.
So our lessons learned for doctors and vets is plan ahead.
Yes. Yep. Okay. Next is keep up with maintenance and inspections.
This is a biggie and something I admit I kind of neglected in the beginning. But if you watch some of our previous videos, we just had some major issues with our suspension. We had some 2 different shackle bolts break.
I was going to say a couple times.
Yeah. Now, I do try to keep up with maintenance, general maintenance, but I really wanted to kind of stress inspections as well. Like I just said, we had 2 shackle bolts break or either fell off and missing. And if you don't know what those are, they kind of hold your leaf springs up on the undercarriage or the frame of your RV and keeps everything intact down there. The only way I found those was, the first one was honestly by accident. I was just happened to sit outside. I noticed it.
Went to watch a football game. Yeah. Didn't watch the football game.
Wasn't a good day.
No.
The second one, I was putting some air in my tires because I was getting ready for a travel day. I noticed one of my bolts didn't look right, and I actually grabbed a hold of it and pulled it and just came right out.
It just slid right out in his hand.
The only way I found that was an inspection. And now what we do, the other lessons learned as part of that is we don't wait until we're getting ready to leave. When we get somewhere now and once we get set up and established, if it isn't that day, it's going to be the next day. But very soon after we get somewhere, I'll walk around the RV and look at the suspension. And reason being, I look at the tires and things like that. Reason being is if there is an issue, I want to know as quick as possible so I can try to, if I have to order parts, maybe Amazon or something like that.
Right.
It just gives me that much more time to get something fixed. Or we're scheduled to move on again.
Right.
Hopefully I don't have to mess up our schedule
Yeah.
or change schedules around or anything like that.
That
So
could get into a real mess.
maintenance and inspections are just as important. That's definitely another something we've learned on the road.
Definitely. Something that comes up a lot, I hear a lot of RVers talk about who have dogs, is keeping the dog hair down, the shedding, especially with a golden retriever. It is crazy how much, especially during the year, different seasons, how much rodeo sheds. I keep her bathed and I try to keep her somewhat clipped. But her shedding is just out of control. I do have a Furminator that I got on Amazon. It's like a rake brush. A lot of people that I see with who have shedding problems or issues, they're not using a big enough brush or comb, in my opinion. I did try the smaller one. It did not work on rodeo, so I got the next size. I was told I needed a bigger one for her, and it's great. I will tell you another thing. I don't know if a lot of people know about this, but if you take your dog to the groomers at all, you can ask them to de-shed her. It's a certain way, a certain shampoo, him or her. It's a certain way, a certain shampoo that they use. And I think it's a certain way that they shampoo her with this, clean her with this shampoo. It helps keep the shedding down.
The other thing, talking about groomers, it kind of goes back to doctors and vets, right?
Yeah.
We've had a hard time last minute trying to get a groomer, right?
Yeah.
Before we go somewhere. Groomers are,
They
believe it
book.
or not,
Yeah.
they book way out in advance too.
And they're the same way. If you're not an established,
Yeah.
what am I saying? If you're not an established patient of theirs, customer of theirs, they usually won't squeeze you in. I've gotten lucky one time in over 2 years now.
Yeah. So
Where
again,
someone actually did.
lessons learned on that is with the groomers is again plan ahead, maybe
Yeah.
a few stops ahead,
And ask your groomer about the de-shedding. Usually it's like between $15 and $20 extra. It's definitely worth it. There's a big difference when rodeo is not de-shedded. Also, I wanted to say there are some shampoos that say they help de-shed. I'm not sure if it works or not for real. I know the Wall, WAHL shampoo brand, is pretty good at getting the hair out too.
All right. What's our next one?
Our next one is plan for freezing temperatures.
Yeah. So again, this is something we're kind of going through this right now. It's October now, I guess, and we're in southern Colorado. So temperatures on some of the nights are getting right at freezing. We just had a couple nights ago, it was in the mid 20s. So lessons learned on this is plan ahead, know what you're going to do based on temperatures.
Right.
You know, kind of what we mean by that. If we know, I'll always look at the weather forecast and things like that if I'm worried at all. If I know the temperature's going to drop down to freezing at night, and let's just for an example, right at freezing for a couple hours, honestly, it's not that big of a deal, but there's still some things that we do.
Yeah.
We have a little shop light, a little halogen shop light. I'll put that in the basement and turn that on, and you'd be surprised how much heat that puts out. And we did an experiment on this the other day. Couple days ago, it was 27 degrees outside. This was at 7 a.m. in the morning.
It was cold.
I had a thermometer inside our basement with that light on. When I went in there, it was 54 degrees in the basement.
In the basement.
That's a huge difference.
Yeah.
It's 54 degrees in there. Now remember, that's where all your plumbing is and everything else. So you're kind of in the safe zone. But just kind of know what you're going to do based on temperatures. Again, 30 degrees, right at freezing, I might throw the shop light in there. That might be all that I really do. If it gets a lot colder than that, like in the mid 20s, that's when I'm really going to start taking precautions.
Yeah.
This just happened to us a couple of days ago. We brought our water softener inside. We disconnected the water hose, the filters, everything from the campground spigot. We filled up our fresh water tank for the RV. It has a heater for that. So we turned that heater on. Again, we had the shop light on.
Yeah.
Completely disconnected from the campground spigot. And even when we went to bed at night, we turned off our water pump. Again, just in case a line broke or something like that.
Know.
You're not going to be pumping water all
Right.
night.
I know you guys can't see it, but we're driving to Arizona, and these views are incredible right now. Wow. We've never been to Arizona. We're very excited.
The last thing I want to say about understanding the temperatures and having a plan for that, in the past, we did not disconnect from the campground Wi-Fi.
Right.
We might just turn the water off.
Wi-Fi?
Or, spigot.
Spigot.
Yeah, Wi-Fi has nothing to do with freezing. We might just, turn the water off or let it drip slowly. We were actually in the Smoky Mountains last winter. It was in the low 20s. When we got up in the morning, one of our neighbors, he must have had a water line break.
Mm-hmm.
He literally had icicles coming out of the front of his basement, all the way down to the ground, and a sheet of ice all below all that. So he definitely had a line break, and then because he was hooked up to the campground water, that water just ran all night long and froze. So we take that very serious now.
Yep. Next is making reservations on the phone.
This is another biggie. Again, this happens to us multiple times.
Yeah.
A lot of campgrounds you can make reservations online, or you can call. And I think we mentioned this before in one of our other videos, but we always, if we can, always try to make reservations online.
No.
On the phone.
On the phone. We told you it was going to be wrong.
Yeah. We always try to make reservations on the phone, and there's a couple of reasons for that. I just made a reservation the other day. I had the option of either online or on the phone. Sometimes what I'll do is I'll go online and look. Maybe sometimes you can see what sites are available and kind of see what's going on. And I'll kind of pretend like I'm going to make the reservation just to kind of step through some of the steps. But then I usually end up calling. That gives me a little bit more information. I know, like, hey, I kind of like this site over here. I know that it's open. So when I talk to somebody, I might be go, hey, is site 129 open by any chance? And, things like that. But the big thing is, sometimes on these websites, they don't have an option to put in for discounts. Like, we get military discounts sometimes, or maybe Good Sam or Passport America. Some of these sites are just not set up to take a discount code. So by calling and talking to somebody, I can just ask, any discounts? Oh yeah, we have, X, Y, and Z. Well, I'm a veteran. Okay, well, we'll take $10 off a night. So that's a big benefit. Yeah. The other thing too is when you get talking to somebody, we like to have our ramp down. So we might talk to them and go, hey, we'd like to have our ramp down. Do you have any sites that could accommodate that? Yeah. And usually they're more than happy to work with you. You're not going to get that if you just do it over the online. It's not going to happen. So just be friendly, talk to the people, let them know what you're looking for. And more often than not, it works out for us. It can't hurt, right? It can't hurt. Right. Lessons learned on that is definitely make reservations over the phone. Okay. 333 rule. This one's good. I always, and we abide by this. Oh yeah, we're more like a 2.5 rule. Yeah. Most RVers have been around long enough. They know there's a 333 rule or a 222 rule. 333 rule. Don't drive more than 300 miles a day. Right. Try to arrive by 3 p.m. Right. And if you're going to drive 300 miles a day, stay for at least 3 days. Yeah. So that's the 333 rule. Some people modify that and have a 222 rule. It's what you would think, 200 miles a day, stay at least 2 nights, and try to get in by 2 p.m. Yeah. We definitely live by that. Of course, we modify it for us, we
Three.
try not to go more than 250 miles a day on a travel day if we can help it.
Right.
Since I work during the week, staying isn't a problem. We're either going to stay for 7 days or for 1 week or 2 weeks,
Yeah.
at least, if not longer. And we always try to get there by 2 or 3 in the afternoon. But the reason why this is on our list, again, this is a lessons learned. We were traveling from, I believe this was Rocky Mountain National Park, heading south. We had about a 300-mile day. It was going to be a full day for us. And that's all we thought about. We booked it, we were planning ahead. What we didn't take into consideration was the terrain. Half of that was through the mountains, through gorges and up and over passes and through the Rocky Mountains, basically. You can picture that. So just because it's 300 miles doesn't mean it's going to take you 5 or 6 hours. Literally, it took us an hour and a half to go 30 miles in one spot just because up and over windy, curvy roads, things like that. If you've been on the $1 Million Highway, you know what I'm talking about. You're not traveling 60 miles an hour. You're going anywhere from 10 to 30 miles an hour. So lessons learned on the 333 rule is to take into consideration what you're driving through, what you're driving over, and the road conditions.
Definitely. Okay, and last but not least, checklist.
Checklist. Yeah, this is another one. We try to mention this as often as possible. I don't think for us it was really a lessons learned because we've done checklists since day one. That's just one of the things that we've learned. But there have been times that Dean has caught me, like I'll get in a rush. And because I kind of have the steps in my mind now, we've been doing this long enough. I start getting ahead of myself, and Dean will be the one, whoa, slow down. Let's go through the checklist.
Yeah.
And sure,
I reel him in.
She reels me in. That's right. Oh, boy. But there have been times I've gotten ahead of myself, and I might have missed something. Luckily, hasn't been anything serious, but it does get back to checklists. Have one. We have one. We abide by them. And
faithfully.
If I do start to get quick, Dina reels me in, and we go step by step with our checklist. Last things you want to do is forget to lock your kingpin on your fifth wheel. Start to pull. There's, checklists are very, very important for us.
Yes. Everyone should have one. Okay, and last but not least, know your route. That's a big one too.
This is a really, really big one, and it sounds kind of obvious, right? We shouldn't have to mention this, but there's a few
we have stories.
There's a few things I really want to mention when we talk about this. Know your route. Now, what we do, of course, everybody, when you're planning, you're going from point A to point B, and that might be all some people do. They know they're going to travel 250 miles, and they're going to be on some highway, for most of the way. That's bare minimum. Now, what I like to do is usually the night before or the day before, I love Google Maps and satellite views. And the big thing for me is whenever we drive through a small town, I'd like to they have the street view. If you can look like you're driving through the small town. I like to look at that, at least some of the curves, if we have some sharp turns in a small little town, I want to look to make sure, we can make this turn, or if not, I need to go look somewhere else.
There goes the grand design.
The other big, and this is very important for me anyways, is I love to look at the entrance to the campground, to the place that we're going.
Right.
So many times you get to a campground and they may have just a very tiny little sign outside. It might be skewed by a bush or something. It'd be very, very easy to drive straight past it.
Yeah.
Most of the time it's not that big of a deal. You go up and find a place to turn around. But we've been in some places that if you pass up your campground, you're on a dead end road. And that's the last thing you want to do is
pulling 44-foot RV. That's not good.
So we love to use Google Street View and Google Satellite View. I'll zoom in on the campground so I know exactly, okay, for an example, oh, there's a gas station on the left, and after the gas station, there's a McDonald's,
Yeah.
and right after McDonald's, the campground entrance is there. So now I know when we're getting close to it, I see the gas station, I see McDonald's, I know I need to slow down and get ready to look for the campground. And that honestly has helped us out.
So many times I forget that you do that, and we're approaching the campground, and he like names off all this stuff that's coming up, and I'm like, oh yeah.
It does pay off though. It really, I think it's a peace of mind.
Yeah.
So we know what's coming up. We know maybe going through some tight sections of town.
Yeah, your boundaries.
Things look good. There's not any big overhanging trees and things like that. We know where our fuel stops are going to be, any rest stops and things like that.
Yeah.
Well, I told you this was going to be unedited. However, we had wasn't a wardrobe malfunction. It was a hardware malfunction. Our GoPro overheated.
Yeah.
We had to let it cool down. This was actually our last lessons learned anyway, but I kind of wanted to wrap it up with the knowing your route, how important for us anyways, it really, really is to do a satellite view, understand how you're going to get into your campground, even see where you're going to check in at, where you're going to pull up to, if you're going to go through a roundabout, which exit you're going to get off on the roundabout.
Yeah.
Things like that. It makes it so much easier on a travel day when you know what to look for ahead. You're not worried when you get somewhere, oh, do I take this first roundabout? Do I take the second one? Do I need to get in the left lane here or get in the right lane here? All that stuff can be done pre-planned, and it just makes for a much, much easier travel day.
Right. Definitely. We hope you enjoyed today's video. Don't make the same mistakes that we've made. Learn from us. Yeah. Learn from our mistakes. We hope you have a great week.
Remember, always live life to the fullest.
Stay safe, safe travels, and God bless.